Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the video. This, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, is going to be my September TBR. I'm also kind of calling it September Hopefuls because there is a chance that I will read none of these or a chance that I will read all of these. So before we get into the books, I do just want to say that I'm taking part in one readathon, which is Series September, which is created by Books and Jams and Sarah's Nightstands. I will leave both of their videos down below. My friend Clint told me about this readathon and I was like, I have a bunch of series that I need to make progress on or finish because I had a goal of finishing 23 series in 2023 and I think I'm sitting at about 14 and we have less than half the year left, so I should probably get on this. And so yeah, this will probably be really quick and kind of rapid fire because honestly a lot of these books are just ones that I'm like, maybe I'll read. But for Series September, it takes place the entire month of September, and the kind of whole point is to read books in series. So there is this bingo board here, and so they are, all of the prompts are like one-word prompts that you can kind of like stretch and take in your own way. So as I go through, I'll kind of say like how I'm taking the prompts, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I have them all written down here on a freaking weekly calendar that I just was the first piece of paper that I found. So yeah. So the first prompt is hyped, and this I'm kind of taking it as just a hyped series in general, and so for that I'm reading Stolen Air by Sophie Lark, which is the second book in the Brutal Birthright series, which over the last year has been pretty hyped on both Book Talk and Bookstagram and even BookTube a bit. And this, I don't know exactly what it's about besides gang families, so I'm just gonna read the back of it. Nessa Griffin leads a lonely life, compassionate and gentle. She fills no role in her family's mafia empire. She struggles to prove herself at home and her highly competitive ballet corps. Mykolaiv Wilk, is that how it's pronounced? I'm not sure, is the most vicious gangster in Chicago. His adopted father saved him from the streets of Warsaw, only to die at the hands of the Griffins. Bent on revenge, again, I don't know how to fucking pronounce that. I will look up how to pronounce it actually when I'm reading it. He abducts Nessa, holding her captive in his moldering Gothic mansion. As he plots the destruction of everything she holds dear, he finds herself fixated on his little ballerina's newest dance. Terrified by the growing tension of her kidnapper, Nessa loses herself in a dark fairy tale ballet that paralyzes the incredibly twisted relationship. Can Nessa find the man inside the beast, or will this be her last dance? So, kidnapping. Sign me up. I read Brutal Prince, which is book 1, in April, I think. And so I probably should continue the series since I at least own book 2 now. So yeah. For start, I'm taking this as start a series, which is perfect because Love and Monsters by Max Walker is the first book in a series, and it is Book Addicts Anonymous's book for September. Book Addicts Anonymous is a book club that I am a co-host of. My co-host is Clint from Reads Reader, and this is our September book. All I know about this is it's like there's one character invites another character to a book club, and then somehow eventually there ends up being like a stalker or something. It's kind of more of like a romantic thriller, like romantic suspense of sorts. That's really all I know. That's all I want to know, but is the first book in a trilogy, I believe. Or at least there's 3 books out / I think out. I'm not sure the final book is out or if it's coming out. I'm not too sure. But I think it is a trilogy, and so that is perfect because I need to read it for that. It's the start of a series and it works perfectly for this prompt. The next prompt is double, which basically can be read 2 books in a series or finish a duology or something like that, and I'm taking it as finish a duology with Namesake by Adrienne Young. The first book is Fable, which basically you are following 17-year-old Fable who basically joins this crew on this ship to kind of almost not get revenge on her father, but get back to him to claim her inheritance, which she ends up not liking type thing. But it is like a YA fantasy, pirates, and all of that. I read Fable in beginning of August, so I kind of want to just finish this up, and it works perfectly for this prompt, and it's a kind of like a decent sized book, like it's like 300 and some pages, so it should be a quick and easy read. So yeah. Next is Rec, which I am reading, which is like a recommended book or a series or whatever, and I am reading Moonstruck by Only James, which is the third book in the Necessary Evil series. This, I'm kind of stretching it because the first book, Unhinged, was recommended to me by my friend Clint, but he has said continue the series, and so I read book 2 in August, and now I'm like, okay, sure, I'll read book 3 for this because it had been a recommended series from my friend Clint. So this, I don't know actually anything about this specific book, but all I know is each book in the series we are following one of these adoptive brothers who were basically, they were adopted by this scientist named Thomas as almost like an experiment of some sort to basically train kids who are medically deemed psychopaths to be killers, to kill those that kind of slip through the cracks of the law, basically. And this is one of the brothers' story. I cannot remember who. And these are all romances, and so I am in the middle of a series, so probably should make a little progress. Next is Finish, which basically means finish a series, and for this I am going to be reading All of Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. This is the second book in the All of Us Villains duet, I believe is the series title, but the first book, All of Us Villains, basically every generation in this town there is a competition between the youngest generation of basically who can hold the magic of the town, and all of that. But this year it's a little bit different because one of these families, like there's like, can't remember how many families that compete, but somebody from one of these families wrote a book about it, and now this town has like media coverage and all of that, and so the competition has much more stakes and is overall turned into this giant spectacle. And we're following 4 point of views of all of these people taking part in this competition, their views on it and how they are handling it and all of that. And this is the end of that series, and I read the first book in January of 2022, and I finally got my hands on a copy of this. So I should probably finish it before I forget a bunch of stuff from book 1 because I remember enough to continue. But yeah. Next is New, which I'm taking this as the newest book in a series. And for this, I am reading Cruel Seduction by Katie Robert, which is the 5th book, ? Yeah, which is the 5th book in the Dark Olympus series. I'm currently reading book 4, so I figured chuck this on here to then continue the series. But this, I honestly don't know much about, except it is a like polynaught, so there's 4 people kind of in this dynamic, and each of these books in the Dark Olympus series are basically like a Greek retelling of sorts set in a modern setting, and that's pretty much all I know about Cruel Seduction. I always like to go into these books knowing absolutely nothing. For a triple, this can be read 3 books in a series, or finish a trilogy, or anything like that, read the 3rd book in the series, whatever. And so for this, I'm going to be finishing off a series and reading Soul of a Witch by Harley LaRoe, which basically is the 3rd book in the, I can't remember what exactly the series is called, but the first book is Her Soul to Take, 2nd book is Her Soul for Revenge, and the 3rd book is Soul of a Witch, which basically these are like an interconnected series of standalones that they all kind of take place at the same time. And in this, we're following a witch and a demon, and basically it takes place in this town where there is almost like this cult that is trying to summon a really evil entity. And that's pretty much all I know about this 3rd book. And that's a lot of that is just based on the previous 2 books. And I'm so excited for this to come out. It literally comes out the day that I'm uploading this, if I'm uploading it on the 31st. This is either being uploaded on the 31st or the 1st, I'm not sure. I'm so excited to read this as I've been waiting for it since I read book 2 all the way back in, oh, I want to say like, oh, was it all the way back in 2021? Yeah, I want to say it's been a while because the author just took a while to write the book, which I know it'll be worth it. For old, this can be a old book as in like published a lot of years ago, or you started the series a while ago, and I'm taking it as started the series a while ago, and I am reading Out of Character by Annabeth Albert, which is the second book in the True Colors series. I started this series all the way back in June of 2020 when I read the first book, which is Conventionally Yours, loved it, and then never read the second book once it came out, it's a MM romance, which I'm realizing I have like freaking multiple MM romances on this list. Oops. It's whatever. But this basically, all I know is that we are following two people who have to work together for some reason. I can't remember details. I honestly don't remember. I know that it's like, I don't need to know anything, remember much from the first book, because it's like a interconnected standalones of like the main character in this book is like the best friend of the character in book 1, so I don't really need to remember that much. But I honestly, it's been probably over a year since I read the description, so I don't really know much, except that I need to finish this series because I've been meaning to read it. I've put it on, I think I've put this book on like 3 or 4 TBRs in the past, but never got to it. So maybe this will be the time I'll read it, who knows. And Chunky, basically I'm taking it as a chunky book, and I'm reading Dark Refuge by Angelina J. Steffert, which is it's either book 5 or 6 in the Shattered Kingdom series. Is that the series title? I think so. Which is basically a like upper YA high fantasy where I always struggle to describe it, so I'm just going to give you the vibes of basically it is like fae and dragons and magic and all of that. And while it's been probably like close to, I want to say it's been 2 years since I read the last book in the series, I do still remember enough of like the core details and like character dynamics and all of that to continue. I've just like for some reason put off reading this. So maybe finally I'll get to it because it is chunky. It's like 590 pages, I think, according to Amazon. So yeah, and I did really enjoy the series up until the point that I stopped reading it, but I think I just read the newest book when it came out, and then kind of by the time the next book came out, like this book came out, I was like focused on other things that I just never read it, and then I never picked it up again. And I think I only have like 2 books to finish before I'm finished the entire series, so might as well make progress and maybe finish it before the end of the year. Who knows? And then there are 2 books that aren't part of series September that I'm going to read, and then that's pretty much all I'm going to put on this TBR because it already is a little bit insane. But the first book is I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman, which I don't know much about this. Basically all I know about it is about like a band, and that's pretty much it. That's all I want to know. This is one of 2 books that I have to read to finish reading all of Alice Oseman's work, which I am so close. I literally just need to read this and Radio Silence, and then I've read everything. And so this was one that was originally on my August TBR, didn't get to it, so I'm just going to carry it over in September. And I feel like this might be a really easy book to read, maybe like after I have my wisdom teeth surgery, because I'm getting all 4 of my wisdom teeth out in a little bit over a week, and I'm kind of scared. But I feel like this might be an easy read because it's like YA, very simple, very like easy to digest. So I feel like it might be a good read for that. I'm not too sure, but either way, I want to get it read. And then the final book on this TBR is Labyrinth by Tori Heat, which I know nothing about except it is extremely dark. It has a bunch of triggers, and I have an arc of it. It comes out on September 22nd, so I need to read it before then. I basically saw the triggers and of how the author is just like, this is the darkest thing I've ever wrote, and I'm like, sign me the fuck up. And I've enjoyed everything that I've read by Tori Heat, so I'm like, sign me up for the ARC. If the ARC list, like ARC application, like the ARC application form opened, and I immediately was like, yep, I want it. But yeah, so that. And that is all that I'm putting on this TBR. In the comments below, let me know what is one book that you want to try to read in September, or if you've read any of these or want to read any of these. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did like it, don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really helps my channel grow. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!